It's a very good morning here at Pan-African Television, and this is the morning news here on the Good Morning Africa show. My name is George Yosen Vine. Let's go straight to our headlines of the stories this morning. PPP to protest against charges for presidential filing fee by Electoral Commission. Also, Ghana Medical Association Vice President kicks against the legalization of Okada. And international, Libya's GNA to step down to facilitate a united government at the end of ongoing peace talks. This with sports, entertainment, and business comes your way in the short time to come. My name is George Yosen once again. Let me remind you that we are live on Facebook and YouTube at Pan-African Television. I'll return shortly with the details in the news. Do stay. Thanks for making time with us here on the morning news on the Good Morning Africa show here at Pan-African Television. We are located on the 48 Swanika High Street here at Abban. Now straight to our first story of the morning. The Vice President of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Frank Serebour, has kicked against the promise by the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, to legalize the use of motorbikes, Okada, in the country for commercial purposes. According to him, Ghana does not have the appropriate road networks designated for movement of motorbikes to help implement such a policy in the country.
The debate about the legalization of motorbikes for commercial purposes by the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, remains a major concern for stakeholders in the health and transport sectors as well as political players. The latest to join the debate is Dr. Frank Serebour, the Vice President of the Ghana Medical Association. Speaking in an interview on a Kumasi-based radio station, Dr. Frank Serebour noted that regulating the activities of the Okada operators by supporting it with the law will not stop the continuous exhibition of lawlessness, such as jumping traffic and flouting road traffic regulations by the riders.
The number of accidents are Okada causing. Far more than the number of accidents that cars cause, especially knockdowns. Now, say, ufa numbers, no. Now they compare the number of vehicles, or cars, or the number of motorcycles, you can say your cars be breaching motorcycles. Ideally, you expect more accidents to occur with your friend is saying cars, change motor. But we get more motor accidents than cars. And the fatality rate is higher. Hey, young men, it doesn't matter whether the person rides for free or doesn't ride for free. In creating lanes, Emma, motorcycles, any bicycles, we have not created lanes for them. Make all North London last year. Miko do what? I know Edmonton Green. There were no motor or bicycle lanes. After suddenly when I got there, bicycle lanes. I'm saying not because now you're for riding of bicycles there to encourage people to ride until they are creating lanes so that they don't have to use the major road Nibio. And they follow laws. What is here? See, every regulation, legalize, they will follow law. Why? Red neswa motor become. But motorcycles, no, they know say red swa illegal to do what? To cross, but they will cross. I didn't see any prosecute who say ampa. So I'm cross what now illegal, and then when it into what is the meaning of legalization? Moto illegal. And illegal. But the issue is that your interest statistics, no interest say. Even hinterlands no use motorcycles near their cars and also near it's cool, it's fine.
Still on our local front, the presidential candidate of the opposition Progressive People's Party, PPP, Bridget Jogbenuku, in an interview has disclosed that her party will not accept the 100,000 Ghana cedis filing fee by the Electoral Commission in the upcoming general elections. According to her, they will soon protest against the move and describe the EC's act as non-democratic, since it is a move to demoralize the small political parties in the country.
We don't have that kind of money. Nobody does. You can hear that even the NDC is complaining. So it's not a matter of PPP doesn't have money. Even the biggest opposition party has a problem with it. And you know what? It's funny because in 2016, around this time, the NPP complained that 50,000 was a lot of money. And I've heard someone of the NPP say this is a way of cutting out the smaller parties. I mean, we have completely monetized. So do you believe in that? Because I also heard that. Yes. And it seems like that's a strategy for the Electoral Commission to actually cut off the smaller parties. They are very clear. He said it must be true. I mean, they are the party in power. They know what they're talking about. Is that democracy? Of course not. I mean, you know and I know that it's not democracy. If you want to monetize your democracy to cut out the poor, then it means you're not governing for the poor. You don't want them in the picture. You don't want them to have a say. These are the two parties that don't want us to vote for our own MMDCs and DCs, so that the poor person can have someone to go to and can deal on that basis in their community. So that tells you where we are in this country and what they want for the betterment of the country rather than for their own parties. So how are we going to get 100,000 that we see is going? Well, we're not going to get it. We're going to protest against it. And then from there, we'll see how it goes. I don't think that we are alone in this. I think all Ghanaians agree that 100,000 is ridiculous. There's no way you can... not all Ghanaians have admitted to that because people in the ruling party, yes, who probably have the resources as it is, you know. But a lot of Ghanaians, even the ordinary Ghanaian, thinks no. I mean, if you get 100,000, what I'm going to do is we're going to go and try and raise funds from people who then will hold us to it and ask for their pound of flesh when you're in power. Is that what PPP is going to do? Are we going to ask for people? Yeah. We are raising funds from people like you and I. 1 cedi, 2 cedi, 10 cedi, 20 cedi. If you can give it, we will take it. We'll have a message going on. If you can give it to us, we'll take it. When will this be? Very soon, as soon as our manifesto is launched. We're not going to accept it. We're going to protest it. Whether we go to court, whether we go and hold placards, whether we will decide the way we want to do it. It's not for me to say. It's a party. We will put our heads together and see how we protest it. We are going to work towards winning election 2020. Like I said, winning comes in many ways. If we're able to we have 0 people in parliament. If we're able to put 10 people in parliament, we have won. It's a win, it's a goal. If we're able to put 20 people, we have won. But the ultimate is, yes, we want to win election 2020. We want Ghanaians to believe that the change they want, they can create by voting for it.
Now to Mali. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration here in Ghana, Shirley Ayoko-Botwe, has disclosed that the Economic Community of West African States has arrived at a decision concerning the political uncertainty in Mali. She was speaking at a press briefing here in Accra.
According to Madam Shirley Ayoko-Botwe, ECOWAS has given Mali a 1-week ultimatum effective September 15, 2020 to either form a transition government or face sanctions. The decision was arrived at in a consultative meeting convened by Chair of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and members of the National Committee for the Salvation of the People, CNSP, in Mali on the political situation in the West African country.
Following extensive deliberations on the architecture and roadmap for the transition presented by the delegation of the CNSP, led by Colonel Assimi Goita, the heads of states made the following decisions. 1. The President and Prime Minister of the transitional government must be civilians. The nomination of these 2 key personalities must be done immediately. 2. The transition vice president, provided for in the transition charter, shall not under any circumstances assume the role of the transition president. 3. the CNSP will be dissolved immediately the civilian transitional government is in place. 4. The transition period will be 18 months maximum, with effects from 15 September 2020. 5. Once a civilian-led transition government has assumed office, ECOWAS, within the context of its protocols, will fully assist Mali to return to constitutional rule. 6. Sanctions will be lifted immediately the transition president and prime minister are appointed. And 7. The ECOWAS mediator, His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan, is to undertake a mission to Mali within a week to assess the status of implementation of the decisions of the authority. Excellencies and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is hoped that all the political actors in Mali will support the outcome of the consultative meeting in order to ensure that normalcy returns to our sister country as soon as practicable. It is the commitment of the chair of the authority to continue with the political engagement and provide the leadership required at this critical moment. It would be recalled further that at the 57th summit, the authority reaffirmed its determination to ensure the swift restoration of constitutional order in Mali. Key among these decisions were the following. A. The immediate transfer of power to a civilian-led transitional government, with elections to be held within 12 months. 2. The President and the Prime Minister of the transition government must be civilians and banned from contesting in the next presidential and legislative elections. And C. ECOWAS will gradually lift the sanctions imposed on Mali after the coup leaders have complied with its demands. The sanctions at present are as follows. 1. The closure of all land and air borders. 2. Freezing of all financial transactions. And 3. Freezing of economic and trade flows between ECOWAS member states and Mali, with the exception of basic essentials, medication and supplies, and equipment for the fight against COVID-19, petroleum products, and electricity. The heads of state and government also took note of the national consultations that were ongoing at the time between the various Malian stakeholders and initiated by the National Council for the People's Salvation. The authority further directed that the head of the transition and Prime Minister, who must be civilians, be appointed no later than 15th September 2020. It is worthy of note that from 5th to 12th September 2020, Mali's military junta organized a national consultative forum with political parties, unions, and NGOs.
Away from that, we now go straight to some updates so far as COVID-19 is concerned. And active cases now stands at 524 here in Ghana, and confirmed cases now stands at 45,714. New cases now stands at 59, and deaths now stands at 294. Recoveries now stands at 44,896. I would say this is a very huge progress here in Ghana for us when it comes to COVID-19, looking at where we started from so far as this virus actually hit the country. I'll return shortly with more details when in the happenings of business. Please do stay.
Breakfast your day every day.
Nestle, good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Breakfast your day every day. Every day.
Nestle, good food, good life.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Now into some business stories. The MasterCard Foundation, in collaboration with National Board for Small-Scale Industries, has launched a 19 million Ghana cedis COVID-19 recovery and resilience program to support MSMEs who have been affected negatively by the COVID-19.
President Akufo-Addo launched the CAP Business Support Scheme to provide support for micro, small and medium-scale enterprises (MSMEs) negatively affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Out of a 1.2 billion Ghana cedis earmarked for this program, 600 million Ghana cedis will be disbursed as soft loans to MSMEs. At the launch of the Nkosua program, the Executive Director of NBSSI, Mrs. Yankee Kosi, said through the government and the Investment Committee, the staff of NBSSI and MasterCard Foundation has worked effortlessly to find solutions to the medium and small-scale enterprises who have been affected negatively in this pandemic. She further said the intervention to work together and the need for such support of MSMEs is very apparently in Ghana because of the critical role and the space of micro, small and medium enterprises as backbone of the economy.
Small and medium enterprises in Ghana. The program, Nkosua program, is timely. It's an intervention that would bring hope and, most importantly, provide MSMEs an opportunity to accelerate the growth of their businesses. The program with MasterCard Foundation marks the beginning of a new era for MSMEs in Ghana, at a time when we think of a new way to accelerate and move our businesses forward. This is all in alignment with government's interventions and our efforts to support businesses, industries, and the new CARES program that the government hopes to establish.
Speaking at the launch, the Deputy Minister of Trade, Honorable Robert Ahumka Lindsay, said the MasterCard Foundation shows they are truly friends to the government. He further said the MSMEs are the economy of Ghana and 70% of the country's GDP comes from the MSMEs. Honorable Robert said, as a ministry or government, it is their responsibility to help the group in the entire pandemic. Ghana will still register as the best GDP growth in this year, he assures.
Everybody is facing around the world. But this government, led by His Excellency the President, is clear that we must look at both government taking the step and partnership, MBSSI, MasterCard Foundation, to support MSMEs, who are the economy. 70% of our economy is from micro, small and medium enterprise. These are people that employ anywhere from 1 to 5 up to about 99 people. So this is the economy of Ghana, and this 90 million cedi fund is to support them.
The MasterCard Foundation's 90 million Ghana cedis will help 25,000 MSMEs to recover. The target sectors include agri and agro businesses, water and sanitation, health and pharmaceuticals, garment and PPE, creative industry, garments and trade, manufacturing, tourism and hospitality, technology, education services and food and beverages.
Still on the morning news, we are here to give you an update when it comes to international stories. Now, straight to our first international story. Libya's government of national accord to step down to facilitate a united government at the end of ongoing peace talks. The eventual peace agreement also hopes to demilitarize key cities in the country, including Sirte, Al Jufra, as well as lifting of blockade on oil production and exports.
Libya's Tripoli-based United Nations recognized government and national accord in control of the western part of the country will soon assume caretaker capacity as peace talks conclude by the end of next month. GNA Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj said in a televised speech on Wednesday, September 16, 2020. According to government officials familiar with the Prime Minister's plans, he will be announcing his resignation by the end of this week, and he has already informed the other Libyan factions as well as international partners. Al-Sarraj in his TV speech said, "I announce to everyone my sincere desire to hand over my duties to the next executive authority, no later than the end of next October," adding that he hopes the ongoing negotiations will soon result in the formation of a new unified presidential council and prime minister. The peace agreement is also expected to draw out a blueprint for the country to hold parliamentary and presidential elections in the near future. Al-Sarraj also said the UN-sponsored peace negotiations underway in the Moroccan city of Buzania and the Swiss city of Montreux have succeeded in the rival sites, principally the Tobruk-based Eastern government allied with rebel Libyan National Army led by General Khalifa Haftar, entering a new preparatory phase to finally achieve the much-needed peace and political unity in the country. The negotiations for a final peace agreement between the warring sides are expected to resume soon in the Swiss city, Geneva. Al-Sarraj's announcement comes to the heels of the resignation of the Eastern government, which resigned on Sunday, September 13, after intense popular protest against both the rival governments due to the corruption, poor government services, long power cuts, high oil prices, etc. had begun in the last few weeks and were steadily gaining steam, showing no signs of slowing down.
On the international front, still following up on the trial of Assange, the recent set of testimonies, Assange defense team dismantled the prosecution's argument that Assange caused any harm by publishing classified names. Here is a complete coverage of the Assange extradition hearing.
On the 6th and 7th day of a trial portion of a Julian Assange extradition hearing, the defense presented a marathon round of testimonies from expert witnesses. Among the witnesses to testify in favor of Assange's case was Daniel Ellsberg, famous for releasing the Pentagon Papers in 1971. Ellsberg's statement echoed the testimony given by Thomas Darkin yesterday on September 15, who also showed skepticism at Assange's chance of receiving any fair trial in the U.S. Darkin pointed out yesterday that not only in his case highly politicized, but also demonstrated that the existing sentencing guidelines in the U.S. incentivizes defendants to settle for a plea deal early in the case, thus sealing their conviction. In his hearing testimony to the court, Ellsberg stated Julian Assange could not get a remotely fair trial under those charges in the United States. He shared that even he did not get a fair trial despite a very intelligent and conscientious judge. He added that no person charged under Espionage Act ever since has had a fair trial. The Pentagon Papers that Ellsberg leaked revealed otherwise unreported crimes committed by the U.S. in the Vietnam War. The documents, which were compiled as part of a government report assessing the war situation, also revealed that successive governments deliberately misled the public about the nature of the scope of the war. Ellsberg, along with his colleague Anthony Rousseau, were charged under multiple sections of the Espionage Act by the Richard Nixon administration, which carried a total maximum sentence of 115 years. The prosecution was eventually dropped after it was revealed that the prosecution and government had engaged in criminal misconduct during the investigation. During the cross-examination, Ellsberg dismissed the narrative that separated his work in Pentagon Papers and Assange's work along with that of Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden. This has been a narrative that the prosecution seemingly has wanted to use. He stated that they make a distinction which in my view is entirely misleading. Throughout his testimony, Ellsberg compared his work with the Pentagon Papers with the WikiLeaks revelations and how similar ethics and discretion was used by Assange while publishing those documents. Ellsberg pointed out that Assange had approached the U.S. government to assist him in protecting names, but the latter chose not to do so. He also criticized the prosecution's argument that Assange caused any harm with publication of the names, considering that none of the persons named in the leaked documents had suffered death, violent harm or incarceration. Other witnesses who testified in the court include John Goetz, a journalist who worked in the crucial publications in 2010 to 2011. Goetz's testimony addressed the widely prevalent notion that Assange did not work to minimize harm through the publication of a document. He pointed out that over 14,000 documents related to the Afghan warlocks were decided to be left unpublished as part of an extensive harm minimization process. Goetz also stated that there was extensive eradication of names and other personal details of various individuals in the document, which was often much more than what the U.S. Department of Defense did when releasing the same documents, and a right to information request. Goetz testified on record that during the period when the Afghan warlocks, Iraq warlocks and U.S. Embassy cables were published, there was a very rigorous redaction process, and as far as I know, no names came out of that period. He also pointed out that the falling out between WikiLeaks and The Guardian happened after the latest journalist, David Lehr, published a decryption password to unredacted documents for U.S. State Department cables in his book. On September 15, the prosecution also continued with the cross-examination of the testimony of Eric Lewis. Lewis told the court that the U.S. Department of Justice, which is pursuing the WikiLeaks prosecution in the U.S., is not an independent government body, but an extension of the Trump administration. He cited past Justice Secretary's statement to show that federal prosecutors indicting Assange are working in a top-down approach to the case and take orders from the government itself. Lewis also stated how even in the best-case scenario, Assange is still looking forward to spending the rest of his life in prison if extradited to the U.S. According to Lewis, Assange is facing more charges than actual person who leaked the documents, Chelsea Manning, who only faced 10 charges, where prosecutors had demanded 60 years in prison. Julian Assange's extradition hearing began on September 7 at the Old Bailey Court in London and is expected to continue for the next couple of weeks. The U.S. government is seeking the extradition of Assange from the United Kingdom in order to prosecute Assange under the Espionage Act. He faces a minimum of 175 years in prison.
The world of entertainment, one of our own here at Pan African Television, Fauzu Masawudu, has been appointed the ambassador for Tourism Aid Ghana to champion the cause of Tourism Aid Ghana. In an interview with our entertainment desk, he said he will bring his expertise and good communication skills on board to boost the tourism sector in the country.
Maybe I think our problem is that of a prophet who was a story of a prophet who wasn't worshipped in his hometown but was hailed elsewhere. We have all the beautiful facilities and sceneries over here, but we do not appreciate them. You saw what happened at the year of return. You saw the traffic that the world was in Ghana, and you can imagine the revenue that we made. People come here to witness the beautiful things we see. Even the Cape Coast Castle, we do not seem to appreciate it enough. Steve Harvey came, he was told the story and he wept. Do you understand? There is a strong history behind our various tourist sector that we do not. Maybe it's an internal marketing deficiency. We haven't really adopted a very exactly strategic marketing plan. We haven't communicated some of these tourist sites very well. When you love traveling or when you're a tourism enthusiast and you go to certain places, believe me, Tina, you will be dumbfounded. You will ask yourself, we have all these things here in Ghana. So I beg to differ. I really don't think that our tourist centers are not attractive enough. I think it hasn't been well communicated enough to the people. We haven't shed more light on these places. I think one of my expertise, one of my expertise that influenced their decision on arriving at me is communication. I'm a media person. I do a lot of social media as well, and traditional media and social media has become the norm of the day now. I'm a storyteller, so what I want to do is basically, and I'm a creative thinker as well, but so what I would do is to, come up with the help of the team, come up with strategic and creative ideas on how to champion tourism.
This is how time will allow us here on the morning news on the Good Morning Africa show. But before I leave, let me quickly look at the headlines again. PPP to protest against charges for presidential filing fees by the Electoral Commission. And Ghana Medical Association Vice President kicks against the legalization of Okada. And on the international front, we saw Libya's GNA to step down to facilitate a united government at the end of ongoing peace talks. This with business, international business pause and entertainment came your way for the past 30 minutes. My name is George Yosen Vinay. Quickly, let me remind you that we are live on all our social platforms on at Pan African Television. Do have a very good Friday.